you do realize the one really big positive thing about anal glands.
No, I don't. What is it?
That we don't got them.
That's true. That's a good thing.
So Mark, we've got to talk about anal glands.
Okay.
What are the origins of the anal gland?
Well, I like your story, so why don't you tell it?
Okay, my story is, where do dogs come from? And you think about the wolf.
Yeah.
And if we've got a wild wolf, we've got an animal who is thin, eats meat, fur, bones, is heavily parasitized, and the anal glands are used to mark territory. Right. So when that roughage comes out the back, you've got marking territory.
Yeah, expresses the little fluid onto the poop.
Yep, and great for wolves, not so great in the living room.
Yeah, exactly.
So think about how the back end of a wolf looks. Now think about how the back end of your average Cocker Spaniel looks. Yeah. It's rounded. They're generally, in America, overweight. They no longer are fed fur, bones. They're not heavily parasitized. Yep. Those anal glands get kind of pushed back, and they're just not expressed well.
Right.
They keep filling up.
Yep.
They get uncomfortable.
Yep.
And the next thing you have is the dog pushing its bottom on the floor, dragging it across your living room. And I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of running over and smelling, but it's not a good idea. Exactly. And then they have to express them themselves.
Yes. Very common.
Very common. And what happens when they do not express properly? Right. When the dog's tried to push them, it doesn't work. When things go wrong with anal
that
glands.
Normal secretion should be kind of fluidy and liquidy, but as it sits there longer, it gets a little thicker, and oftentimes it can start to occlude the little opening of the anal gland, and then they can fill up. They can become inflamed. They can even get abscessed, and they can even rupture through the skin, and now you've got a nice sticky abscess back there. So that's certainly a distinct possibility if they're not able to express those glands properly.
And those hurt.
They do, yes. They're uncomfortable.
They hurt.
Yeah, they are.
So when that happens, it is generally several visits into us while we flush the abscesses, flush the anal glands, get medication in there, antibiotics, pain meds, and weeks of getting things back to normal.
Yes. Interesting, I remember being at a conference a while back, and one of the things that they said, that if you're having a lot of anal gland problems, because sometimes you'll see dogs, I'm sure you have, where they're complaining of symptoms of it, you go to express the glands and they're empty. And it seems like every time you go to express them, they're empty. But interestingly, sometimes that can be related to food allergies. So if you're having a dog, particularly Labrador retrievers, and they're having chronic anal gland, what seem to be anal gland problems, but their glands aren't ever full, that could be a symptom of a food allergy.
Okay. And then you do an
food
8-week
trial,
food trial and see if that gets better.
And other things that people can do to try to help with the anal gland situations of their dog at home would be things like
feed them bones and fur. Probably not.
Probably not. No, but we could feed them more fiber.
Okay.
So maybe some canned pumpkin or green beans, or certainly there's a lot of diets that are formulated that do have higher fiber in them already. So maybe a different diet. As you mentioned, a lot of these dogs seem to be a little bit portly, so weight loss is a really good idea, and a lot of exercise. Exercise, I think, can help too, and I think also too, the dogs that get groomed on a regular basis, those poodle type dogs and things like that, a lot of good groomers can express and clean those glands out when they're getting groomed. So I think it's a good idea for people to mention that to their groomer, to say, hey, could you check the glands when they're being groomed?
Okay. And what about the giant breed dog, like the Saint Bernard, that comes in, and it's not that the anal glands are full, it's just that the anal glands seem to drip. And I guess I kind of look at it like the hole is big enough so that liquid just comes out of those guys.
Yeah. I guess in extreme problematic situations, I have certainly removed anal gland surgically. So that, in a severe case, that could also be a consideration, would be surgery to remove the gland.
And that takes care of the problem? there's risks with the surgery,
Sure.
but if you have just anal glands
Yeah.
pouring out,
Luckily, it's not too
Over
often
time,
that we need to think about those things.
there's a
but
surgical
there
option.
are options too.
I think that's
I think that's everything we can think
Well,
about anal glands.
I think so.